Worst fear just came true. We're going to talk about that in this video. Also, again, I apologize. I haven't made a video until today. I've had some shoulder issues, so I've kind of been in and out of the hospital. Hence, me not coming up with a video until today. So, thank you for your patience. I haven't had a chance to talk about this game. So, we will get into their last playoff game against Philadelphia. But what am I talking about when I say the Packers' worst fear just came true? We're talking about Jordan Love. Okay. So, I'm one of the guys in Jordan Love's corner saying, hey, listen, be patient with this guy. I think he is something special. However, when you take a look at the last four games for Jordan Love, it hasn't been great at all. In fact, the way he started out in the year with the injuries and all of that, he certainly looked like a much different quarterback when he came back healthy. He looked like the Jordan Love that we remember seeing at the end of last season. And he looked like every bit of the part why we signed this guy to franchise quarterback, giving him the money that we did. That being said, his last four games, okay, so if you remember, they blanketed out New Orleans, but Jordan Love in that contest really didn't look all that great. The Packers collectively looked amazing, probably their best game of the season collectively as a unit in that New Orleans win where they shut them out. Jordan Love in that game was 16 of 28, 57% completion percentage there, 182 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. Okay, so not wowing you with the numbers, wasn't terrible, but at the end of the day, when they just beat up the New Orleans Saints, you're like, okay, Jordan Love must have had a huge game. He didn't. Minnesota, he didn't look good. A lot of the numbers came later on in the game when they were trying to play catch up. 19 of 30, 63% completion percentage there. 185 yards, one touchdown, no interception against Minnesota. There was a couple of suspect throws in that game where you could be like, okay, that could have been potentially intercepted. Then you got the Chicago game, and that was a game that everybody was looking to Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers saying, okay, this is a bounce back game for them. He's not going to be playing the entire game. You really hope you get a lot of production out of him within that first half. You hope the Packers build a lead against Chicago, send a statement, build up some momentum before you start going into the playoffs, especially after that loss to Minnesota. And they didn't do that. They lose a heartbreaking game in that game, but morale with the team just looked really off, and it caused a lot of concern. It caused a lot of worry heading into the playoffs against Philadelphia. I said going into that game, I didn't think the Packers were going to win. I wanted them to win. I think they are capable of winning. I think they've got the talent to go out there and win and play with most any team out there. A lot of analysts are saying this Packer team was a year away, and that could be true. But the way that Jordan Love played in that Philly game didn't give me warm fuzzies heading into this upcoming year. And the worst fear comes true, right? Did we overpay? Did we jump the gun in signing Jordan Love? I still think the answer to that is no. I think it is all dependent on how Jordan Love picks up the pieces from here and what he does as a leader. So I've talked about that Netflix show on Aaron Rodgers and that documentary. But man, to see the competitiveness that Aaron Rodgers has in that build, that internal build and makeup of he wants to be the best at all times and he's going to do whatever it takes to be the best. You really hope the amount of time that Jordan Love sat under Aaron Rodgers, he saw some of that fire. Now, you can't coach that. That's got to be inbred within somebody. I really hope Jordan Love has some of that and has this chip on his shoulder type of mentality of I'm going to go out there and prove everybody wrong. So, not great news for the Green Bay Packers when we start talking about that. We're going to take a look at the stats here in a second and just to kind of talk over that Philly Green Bay game. But it says right here in this article that Packers task Jordan Love to be more vocal, and that came from Matt LaFleur. Packers also get terrible news that Tom Clemens is going to be retiring at 71 years old, again, for like the third time he's retiring. But what a loss. Okay, so for me, I'm super disappointed with the way that Jordan Love played down the stretch. But the hope that I had was like, okay, we got Tom Clements. He's going to work with him on the offseason. We're really going to, pick up the pieces. Jordan Love is going to, but maybe this is a good thing because the ball is going to be completely in Jordan Love's court. We already know that Tom Clements is such a great quarterback coach. He coached Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love. I was really hoping maybe for one more season. I know Tom Clements can't stay in the league for forever, but I was really hoping for one more season, especially after the way this season ended. It says right here in this article that on the day the Packers announced Clements 71 is retiring, head coach Matt LaFleur said the next part in Jordan Love's evolution as a quarterback is to assume a more vocal leadership with the team. And then Matt LaFleur was quoted as saying, I think the next step is just to continue to evolve as a vocal leader, talking about Jordan Love. And he's got to be able to do that. You can almost sense a little bit of frustration there. I don't know what it looked like in the locker room post that loss to Philadelphia, but you wonder, did all of the frustration and the vocal leadership, did it come from Jordan Love and company, or did it come from a guy on your screen right there, Tucker Kraft, who's been an absolute beast? And he's showed, when you talk about somebody going out there and playing, to me, it seemed like Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft and Josh Jacobs were the three only guys that showed up against that Philadelphia game that had fire, that you could tell wanted to win, that had a chip on their shoulder, that they wanted to go in there and prove something. I didn't get that sense from anybody else, really. That being said, Tucker Kraft responded to, hey, when asked about the loss to Philadelphia, he's like, hey, we certainly didn't win anything. You can tell there's a little bit of an edginess and a chip on his shoulder. He said the whole few last games we played, you could kind of feel it was brewing within us, meaning the fact that we've just not been playing good. We haven't looked good down the stretch. And then he goes on to say, as a team, we need to wake up. What leadership out of Tucker Kraft. I love this dude. And this makes me even love him even more because he's there vocal. He's saying, we need to wake up. Okay, we didn't win anything. Yes, we've been the youngest team in the league. And yes, there was a lot of talk about that going into Dallas last year, winning that, almost beating San Francisco in San Francisco, going to an NFC championship game. And then this year we get bounced in the first round against Philadelphia. Oh, by the way, Philadelphia gave them every reason or every opportunity to come back in that game. It was just one of those games. And I think Troy Aikman said it at one point, or was it Tom Brady? Tom Brady said it at one point. He was just like, man, it feels like this game should be 70 something to nothing, but it's only 10 to nothing. And then the Packers, as you know, 10-0 going into half, and then it was 10-3. And then it looked like the Packers were going to start coming back with a 16-10 lead going into the third. And it was just like, okay, the Packers could potentially, because Philadelphia is giving them every opportunity, the Packers just couldn't do anything offensively. Super frustrating. Jordan Love, even to that pass, it was fourth down. We went for it. It was should have been a very completable pass. He threw it high to Malik Heath on the edge, and he steps out of bounds. He was 20 of 33 in this game, 212 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions, which means over the last 4 games, he's had 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Not great news for Packer fans because he's going to have the entire offseason. We're going to have the entire offseason to kind of pick this apart and be like, okay, do we have something in Jordan Love or don't we? Because last year at the end of the season, everybody was like, man, this is going to be a future Hall of Fame quarterback in Jordan Love. Wow, the Packers hit a gold mine. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Now we're left questioning, is this dude going to be as good as everybody initially thought? Josh Jacobs certainly is that dude with how he ran, almost getting into the end zone. And then, was initially called a touchdown and then reversed. What an absolute beast and an animal. You got to love the work ethic out of Josh Jacobs. He says he's having fun playing here. He wants nothing more than to have a playoff win. He hasn't had a playoff win in his career, and I think he absolutely will get that in Green Bay. Just matters on how the Packers respond after this loss. And it wasn't even just this loss. It was the Chicago loss. It was the Minnesota loss. The last 3 games of the season looked absolutely dreadful for the Green Bay Packers. How Matt LaFleur responds, now they're going to have to do it without Tom Clements. Tom Clements, one of my favorite coaches in the league, the Packers will be without. So how they pick up the pieces is going to tell all. But overall, Jalen Hurts didn't look great, and I kind of anticipated him looking rusty. He was 13 of 21, only 131 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. 6 carries, 36 yards he had on the ground. Saquon got his 25 carries for 119 yards. The Packers certainly, again, They were outplayed, but they more outplayed themselves than anything. The Packers shot themselves in the foot time and time and time again in this game. The Packers, certainly, again, the youngest team in the league, how they pick up the pieces and go from here. But the Packers' worst nightmare may have come true of, is Jordan Love actually a legitimate franchise quarterback? I want you guys to leave your comments. Let me know. Am I panicking too much? And as always, go Pack Go.